guys, welcome back to Florida Fun and Food. My name is Lauren and today is another delicious recipe of what I made for our Dungeons and Dragons feast. Today I'm going to show you how I made the steak and ale soup that was a hit across the board. Let's go.
First step was to melt about 3 tablespoons of butter into a large skillet. And then I bought 2 packs of this stew meat from Aldi, and this is going to be perfect because it's a little tough, but we're going to let this cook in a crock pot for multiple hours, and it's going to make the meat really, really tender. So, you can buy a cheaper cut of meat if you're going to cook it low and slow for a long time, and it turned out perfect. So don't be afraid to get the cheap cuts. As it started to brown, it got pretty watery, and I wanted to get a nice crust on some of this just for extra flavor. So I did drain out the liquid, but I kept it aside because it's tons of flavor. So once I drained out most of the liquid, I put it back on the heat to really try and kind of crisp up the bottom edge of the steak bits. This is called the Maillard reaction. It's just kind of where the steak kind of caramelizes and just gives it so much flavor. So see here, you can really see I got a nice dark crust on this, and it's just fabulous. After it was cooked, I went ahead and poured it into a separate bowl just to set it aside while I got the veggies cooking. Then to my skillet, I added a nice big glug of olive oil, and I threw in 2 chopped onions along with a nice pinch of salt to get them cooking down a little bit faster. Once those went kind of soft and translucent, I added in about 2 cups worth of sliced mushrooms. I did use canned because it's going in a soup, so it doesn't really matter if they're fresh or not. Canned is just fine. To that, I added a big glug, so probably about 2 tablespoons worth of minced garlic. You know me, I love my garlic. Then I went in with this mushroom seasoning, and I probably put about a tablespoon in there just to give it a little extra flavor. I also went in with a pinch of black pepper and a pinch of paprika. And finally, some dried rosemary, probably about another tablespoon or so. And then I mixed this all together and stirred it constantly until the onions and the mushrooms were nice and soft. Then I added 1 whole can of ale, and I'm using Fat Tire. And I let this kind of simmer for about 5 minutes to kind of cook out the alcohol, but keep that really yummy flavor. Once it was cooked down, I added the mixture to my crock pot, and I'm going to keep this in the fridge overnight, so I am just putting it in the crock pot itself to let it kind of cool down. So this crock pot is not on. I'm going to put the lid on it and put it in the fridge. So I added my steak and all the juice. Then I just gave that a quick mix just to get everything together. And then I added in 1 carton of beef stock. I believe that's 4 cups. And so this just kind of helped cool the mixture down. Tomorrow, I'm going to add another carton of beef stock just to kind of bulk up the soup bit. And I just forgot to film that, but the next day I'll add more. And then after it had been on all day on low, I decided to thicken it up, and I had run out of cornstarch, so I ended up using this brown gravy mix. So I added just a couple of tablespoons of that just to kind of help thicken that soup up a little bit, and it added just a little bit of flavor, and it turned out delicious. So I cooked this low and slow all day, so low for about 8 hours, and then by dinner time it was ready to serve up, and it was a huge hit. I think it was everyone's favorite part of the meal. It was really fun to eat it out of wooden bowls with wooden spoons. We felt like we were in like a medieval tavern, so we just had such a blast. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and head over to my channel to subscribe for more content like this, and I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.